Hi dear viewers. Today I'm joining a conversation with Alistair Round, the author of Pondering Through Time. It's a pleasure to have Ali on the show today. How are you doing, Ali?
I am very well, Peter. It's very nice to meet you. I'm doing well.
Yeah, it's a pleasure having you on the show today. I'm excited to speak with you. Yeah, so Ali, could you tell us about the making of your book, Pondering Through Time? How did this book come about? What inspired you to write Pondering Through Times?
Yes, so I started to write this in 2009, and I only wrote a couple of pages, and I left it alone. Then when I resat GCSE English in 2022, I decided to continue with the novel. Uh, Originally, it was supposed to be called The Week, and it was just supposed to be about a man who had a crazy week full of mayhem.
Oh.
Um, as I continued the writing, it became about a time travel. Uh, so the way that I normally write is I don't plan ahead. I just write what comes into my head. So time travel wasn't the original theme, but it just came about as I was writing that with time travel, yeah, happened naturally through my imagination. And the inspiration from this came from my newfound way of life. I struggled with addiction in the past, which stunted my ability uh,
Mm.
to write. Uh, and then with that newfound way of life came a dream to write this novel, and that's where we are now.
That's amazing to know. If you have a copy of it there with you, could you show it to the camera just so we can see what it looks like?
Yes, there you
And
go.
again, I want to say that's an amazing cover. Please lift it up a bit closer to the camera. Beautiful. Yeah, that's amazing. And now, Ali, I see that the novel is a time travel, under the genre of science fiction novels. Could you tell us how you developed a likeness for time travel and made you write on this particular theme?
Yes, so I've always been fascinated by time travel ever since I was a kid. Uh,
Mm.
but it was mainly the Back to the Future movies. The first time I saw that movie with my dad, I was blown away by it. And me and my dad used to watch it over and over again. And it just kind of inspired me. And I'd always wanted to write something about time travel because it's just such a fascinating
Mm.
subject. Uh, and there's a movie called Time Crimes, which is a Spanish time travel movie, which I think was released in about 2011-ish. And that theme is sort of a basis to my book, and I got a lot of inspiration from that movie into my book. So
Yeah, I have been a huge fan of time travel. I love it so much. There's some of it that I've read and reviewed on the channel thus far. And it's an amazing genre. I love it wholeheartedly. Now, for readers who haven't read the book yet, and of course without giving much information away, could we have a sneak of what we'd expect picking up Pondering Through Time?
yes, so Pondering Through Time is a journey of an ordinary man. He's just an ordinary man living an ordinary life.
Mm.
And then he finds out that he can travel through time using his thoughts alone. And he's got a trusty sidekick with him who appears, and he tells him that he can travel through time.
Yeah.
Uh, and there's a lot of real life scenarios in the book. And there's also a lot to do with mental health issues and also loss. So I'd never actually thought how being able to time travel would affect someone's mental health. But in
Oh.
actual fact, when you think about it logically, it can. If you've got this massive gift and you can travel through time, it can have a certain impact. So the further the story goes on, his mental health unravels and it becomes to be a bit more unstable. And I found that fascinating how that unraveled throughout the story. Again, it wasn't something that I planned, but it
Mm.
seemed to work well throughout the narrative.
Yeah, I love the sound of that. Sounds quite intriguing to me. Now, Harley, let's talk about criticism. As authors, we all have different ways of reacting to feedbacks and criticism of our works. I'm curious to know your opinion about negative reviews. How do you react to negative criticism of your books if you've ever had one in time past?
So the first criticism I had was when I first released the book. So if I show you the original edition, and that
Oh,
look like
that's your
that.
first book, right?
Yes.
Oh,
So the criticism that I got is it looked like an exercise book. Uh, and it actually does. It looks like a workbook. So if you compare this one to this one,
oh, that's a good
this looks,
transition.
yes. So that was the first criticism I received. And so the first edition I saw published, and I remember a friend telling me it looks like an exercise book. Uh, And I initially took that as a negative thing. And
Oh,
it took me a while to turn that around and think, well, maybe he's right. And when I did look at that book and I looked at other novels I have on my shelf, uh, I eventually took the criticism as a positive thing. And that inspired me to do a second edition. Other criticism, I someone left a 1-star review on Amazon, and
oh,
yeah, and then instantly my heart sank, and
wow,
I took it, I took it in a really negative way, obviously,
wow.
but it didn't take me long to turn around my thinking to the fact that 95% of the people who have read it loved it. 5% of the people who read it didn't, and I need to understand that not everyone is going to love my book, and
Mm.
that's okay. That's okay.
Wow, that's quite amazing to know. I love your take on how you handle criticism. That's quite lovely to know. I'm also curious to know if you experience any challenges while writing your book. If there is any, could you share with us what challenge it is and how you ultimately overcame it?
Yes. So mainly with me, it can be my negative way of thinking. So I spent a lot of time thinking a negative way.
Wow.
So when I wrote the book and when it was released,
Mm.
I questioned my own talents. I wondered if I was worth it, and if anyone would enjoy it. Um, and it took me a long time to realize that the most important aspect is that I've written a novel, and I'm very proud of that. And the
Mm.
profit and the sales, if I get any, important. The achievement itself is massive, and it's something that I dreamed of my whole life. So to actually accomplish a dream is the most important thing, and I need to keep myself reminded of that. So, yeah,
Yeah, I love hearing that. And I know that there's sometimes that we authors question our own talent. We question what you've written, asking, is that far enough to be published? Is that good enough to
yes,
get it out there? There's this way that sometimes we can even be our own worst critics.
yes, I agree.
Now, apart from pondering through time, do you have any other works you've authored or maybe currently working on?
Yes, so the sequel to Pondering Through Time is finished. I finished the final draft on Friday, and it's with the publisher now. Uh, it's follows on exactly after Pondering Through Time. It's took me a longer time to write because it's 30,000 words longer. So I'm very happy that that will hopefully be out in time for Christmas, which would be absolutely amazing. Um, I also write poetry. I've been writing
Oh,
poetry
wow.
for the past 14 years. Some of them are just jokey poems, but a lot of the ones I've written recently are all about recovery. So I'm in recovery from uh, addiction, and my plan is to write a book of poetry and then release them all. Yes, So that's the plan with that. I also have an idea for a third novel to do with this. And I'm thinking about doing a whole universe around
Wow.
Pondering Through Time. So I have ideas up here, but I struggle to actually plan work. I tend to like to just sit down, type, and see what happens. But I have some brief ideas there. So yes, that's what the future holds: a book of poetry and more of these books.
Yeah, that's actually very great to know you're a poet too. That's amazing to know. And now I think from what you've said, is Pondering Through Time a series novel? Like is it the first? Are we having second and third one coming up eventually?
Yes, yes. The second one is yes, is finished, and a third one I will start writing on anytime soon.
Wow, that's amazing. That's a great work you're doing. Well done.
Thank you.
Now, could you tell us what publishing is like for a published author like yourself? Also, are there any challenges you've encountered ever since you got published?
Yes, so the first novel, as you know, I self-published that, and what I found difficult with that is I didn't know what I was doing. I'd never published a book before, and I
Wow.
didn't have a clue. And I didn't look on any sites or anything. I just went to Amazon, the KDP, and I rushed the whole thing. I got the book size wrong, and the front cover was just a template off the internet.
Mm.
Yeah, so I struggled with that aspect, and I found that quite stressful because I
Wow.
wanted it to be perfect, and in my eyes, it wasn't. Uh, so when I decided to go to a publisher, I asked my mum for help financially, and she helped finance the book. And I found that so much more freeing. I could just hand it over to them. They could do all the work and send me back the finished article. So
Wow.
yes, I found that less stressful than actually doing it myself.
No, that's quite lovely to know. And there's this question that just came to my mind now, and I've always loved asking fellow authors. I don't know how people can just sit there and, craft works, put down works together, bring them together in a way that makes an amazing work eventually. How do you get the ideas to write in your books? Like, how did they come to you?
That's the thing. I had no ideas about the book. It's just all the book that I've written is just from here. I don't sit
Mm,
down and plan. I just open up the laptop and I start writing. And I think that's one of the beautiful gifts I've been given,
yeah,
the gift of creativity. I
absolutely.
have I have tried before to sit down and plan, and I don't seem to be able to do that. So I just like to sit down and plan and see what comes. And most of the time, it works. I mean, it's proof. I've written novels. It's proof that there's something here that works,
Yeah.
and absolutely.
It's amazing to know. That's pretty much amazing to know. Now, Ali, is there anything that you love to share with the viewers about your books that we did not mention in this interview? And I'd love the viewers to know.
Yes, I was once asked by a friend at work who had read my book, and he said, "Is there any of me in the novel?" And at first, I said no, and then I went home and I thought about it. And there's a lot of issues in my book related to mental health, which I've just
Mm,
related to, and there's also issues with loss, with losing
wow,
someone you love. And in a subconscious type of way, I was dealing with my mental health issues and dealing with loss.
wow,
It was like a form of counselling I was doing to myself by
mm,
writing down the words in the book. So, for example, there's a bit of loss in the book, like someone loses someone close to them, and I
wow,
cried my eyes out as I was writing that because it reminded me of the loss of my father. So it was
wow,
helping me come to terms with stuff like that. And I found that really beautiful.
wow. knowing about that kind of want to get me a bit emotional. I'm curious. I don't know if you would like to maybe recite a section. I know I didn't mention this earlier on. I don't know if you'd like to read maybe a certain part or a part you love the most, I would say.
First intro to the
Yeah, let's
book, would
do
that be
that.
okay? So, time travel, it isn't real, right? I mean, if humans could traverse the space-time continuum, then surely we'd know about it, wouldn't we? If I could travel through time, the first thing I'd do is experiment with the grandfather paradox. Just imagine it, going back and killing your own grandfather so he didn't exist. But then the fact that you went back in time to perform this act creates a whole mind-bending paradox in the first place. Brain bamboozling or what? The thing is, time travel still does exist, and I can prove it.
Wow, that's an amazing one. I love that. That's a bit
Thank you.
captivating, I'd say. That's great.
Thank you.
Now, Ali, as a published author, what sort of advice do you have for other writers who are still struggling with publishing a book? What would you advise people in this category?
Yes, so my advice would be to never give up hope. Uh, it's something that we struggle with not being good enough. Believe in yourself and never let anyone, including yourself, hold you back. If you have a passion for writing, as I do, follow it through because it'll be worth it. Also, I found later on that to check out other authors and social media pages to gather tips and advice. But sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, this journey of discovery is a beautiful one and one I will continue to cherish. And I hope other authors can do exactly the same.
Oh, that's great. I love your advice, especially mentioning the fact that never let anyone, including yourself, hold you back. I'm hopeful
Yeah.
that viewers, including myself, would love to utilize it. In case we have some interested viewers who would love to get a copy of your books, on what platform are they available on for purchase?
Yes, so it's available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Waterstones, Blackwell's Bookshop, and many other places like WH Smith. So it's all over the world, which is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, thank you. And I left a link in the description part of this interview where interested viewers can get a copy of Alistair Round's books directly. So thank you so much, Ali, for accepting the invitation to be featured on P English Literature. It's a pleasure having this conversation with you.
Very welcome. I've enjoyed it thoroughly. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, my joy as well.